As we get started on this brief 7-minute DVD, we'd like to first talk about the value of the lender in the process. Then we'll get to the value of an agent in the process and the insights you're going to learn from this DVD. Number one consideration, when talking with a lender, most of us think it's just the rate, who's got the best rate. I want to talk about the real value and the insight of a lender, especially in an economy like we have just come through. Because in some marketplaces, we are still experiencing depreciation. Other ones we're seeing moderate appreciation. Other ones actually significant appreciation. But in some marketplaces, it's going to be years until we get back to the old pricing. So a question is, should a consumer put down 5%, 10, 20% down on a mortgage in a market where some properties are continuing to depreciate or again having moderate appreciation? We're encouraging you to make 3 questions, this is one of them, when you're speaking with the lender. Because this is not just a purchase to fulfill your wants and needs for a family or for yourself, it's really about moving money. This is an important question because it also reveals how to minimize, possibly minimize your risk as a homeowner and make it a wiser investment. Number 2, does it really matter how tall the loan officer is when you're taking a loan application or choosing a lender? Well, of course not. However, it does make a difference, the loan officer's personal success rate in actually closing a transaction on time or closing it at all. Just like a baseball player, you put a gentleman up to bat, another person up to bat, and they both get 10 swings. There's a difference. One would assume if you're doing a loan with a lender, they're going to close it. Even inside a brand, on occasion you get one outperforming the other one. I want you to ask the loan officer, or their manager even, what percentage of their transactions do not close on time or at all. Consumers again would be very surprised to discover the gap between loan applications taken and those actually closed. Don't make the app without knowing their gap. Third question, last one for the lenders, is about deal killers. I call these bumps in the road. The traditional things that happen in a lot of real estate transactions, and again, the skill set is different from lender to lender or loan officer to loan officer. Make sure the last question you ask them, besides their rate, is how do they handle the 2 most common bumps in the road with today's loan processes. Keep in mind the processes based on the economy we've gone through have changed, and there's even new regulations coming in the future. What I'd like to do now is shift gears a little bit to talk about becoming an informed buyer or seller in the marketplace. Getting this information from the realtor that you maybe perhaps met at this open house. How do you know if a property is underpriced or overpriced without ever going into it? Well, agents have the ability in most marketplaces around the United States to see what a current seller paid for the property. If you interview real estate agents and you'd say, well, if you were looking at a house, would you want to know what the prior person paid for the property? I've received 100% yes answers. I would want to know. But that's not always what the consumer sees. Again, you may not have an interest in the property, but there are some benefits to knowing what a prior person paid. As we learn about appreciation and depreciation in the economy, because after all, again, you're moving your money. We want to know, is that area appreciating, or is it assumed that that area is appreciating because you like the area? Number 2, what's an indicator that the market will appreciate or depreciate? Because we've gone through what we never thought we'd go through in this economy, and that's whole counties and states wiped out of their equity for 5 to 10 years of all growth disappeared. I'm going to supply you with what I call one of the DNA indicators. There's 17 DNA indicators, and that means, did the area depreciate? Is it remaining neutral or stable, or is it appreciating? I want you to ask the agent that you're interviewing to share with you what I call about the supply and demand. A lot of times people talk about supply being how many are for sale versus how many closed over the last year. I'm going to talk about a better market snapshot. And that would be on a report, it's called the CMA report. Just ask your realtor you're interviewing. You want a CMA report of the houses for sale and a price point in a particular area. And from that, you also want to see the properties are under contract in that area, just on a piece of paper to see how many there are. I've helped executives relocate across the United States, internationally, in a real snapshot way to get a feel for a market is simply if there's 20 for sale in a price point and there's only 2 under contract in that same price point, we have a 10-to-1 ratio, 10 sellers to every 1 buyer. Again, actives versus under contract. If we find ourselves in a 10-to-1 ratio, we are looking at probably moderate depreciation. That is not a stable marketplace. So you are able to look at a market, especially if you're relocating, without even going to that marketplace and get a feel for what's the supply and the demand. For example, I'll give you one more, and that's if there's 20 for sale in an area and there's 29 additional properties under contract, you might say that it's a pretty good seller's market at that point. The thing about that marketplace is we are looking at aggressive appreciation. If we have 20 for sale and another 29 under contract, those houses are going up in value before you even close on them. A very easy thing to look at. Make sure the agents you're interviewing, buying or selling, are supplying that kind of information and can interpret the data for you. Because after all, you're moving your money also. Thirdly and last, what's a good time to buy or sell? Again, the agents that we work with through this program understand it's actually wiser to buy in a seller's market than a buyer's market. Here's why. When you ask most people, would you rather buy in a buyer's or seller's market, they tend to say, I'd like to purchase in a buyer's market because I'm getting a deal. However, when you put a property under contract in a buyer's market, unless you stole that property, the asset continues to depreciate. In a seller's market, the day you put it under contract, again, there's more buyers available than there are sellers, and they're just gobbling these houses up. What happens is, when you put it under contract, it might actually have appreciated by the day you closed on it. It's actually less risky to buy in the seller's market. It's wiser to buy in the seller's market when the properties are going up in value. All right, well, we hope that you enjoyed this brief DVD. I'm going to encourage you, you have a packet. It's got a postcard in there from a lender and from a realtor that you met at the open house. The realtor was there. I want you to either fill it out, check a box, and send that right now. Their phone number's on there, their email, or text them. Get a hold of these people, at least interview them for the buying and selling process. Thanks for watching.